What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of The Lowdown, Learn with Flo here. Really excited to be with you guys again on another Monday, another opportunity for us to dive into some really relevant health topics and kind of dig right in. I'm really excited to dive into this world of health technology this month. I've been answering so many amazing questions from you guys about being able to really access a lot more data, even data that's coming in on a daily basis, and how many people are wearing different health devices these days, health technology, even something like an Apple Watch, or even more into, your categories of things like a Whoop or an Oura Ring. There's so many different wearable devices, and I love it. I think it's fantastic because if we know how to use it, we have lab testing right there on our wrist. Like, how often do people really go on for years struggling with different chronic health symptoms, going from practitioner to practitioner, going from specialist to specialist, getting labs and labs drawn and being told, oh, everything's normal, it's all in your head, or it's just aging, that's a normal part of being a parent or normal part of being a mother. And it's like we get frustrated by that, right? Because it's like, well, that's great that there's nothing like big or scary that we can kind of like rule out, but it doesn't stop the fact that like I still feel like garbage most days of the week, right? And so I think one of the most powerful things that a lot of people don't realize that they actually have access to is real-time data from a lot of these different health devices that have really kind of become part of kind of the typical individual's wardrobe. We just may not know exactly all the power that they're collecting behind the scenes, or even more so how to unite that in that health technology with our own innate healing capacity and our body's own ability to heal if we kind of get out of its way and are able to interpret the data in a way to understand what the heck our body is trying to tell us half the time, because there's lots and lots of valuable stuff coming through here. So just as a little bit of a background, because we're going to kind of dive into the nitty gritty about some of my favorite things that we can actually see and pick up from our health technology if we know what the heck we're looking for, right? But just as a little bit of a background, like I've been immersed in the world of a lot of these wearable health gadgets since about 2013, when I worked previously for a large Globo Gym corporation company and eventually worked my way into a senior management position where I was in charge of utilizing, teaching, and implementing all things metabolic testing for the division, and that included a lot of health devices. So we used a lot of heart rate monitors, heart rate monitoring systems, and honestly teaching people concepts like heart rate variability before it was like kind of cool and trendy, right? So I saw firsthand and continue to see firsthand the powerful results that we're able to achieve for individuals when we actually teach them how to learn to interpret the language of their body. And a lot of this language is coming in the form of all of these data metrics that are being collected by a lot of these wearable devices. So it really kind of tells us, once we learn how to interpret, we can actually make some very specific changes, right? By looking at individuals' data and trends, even small things, right? We can tell from that, do they do better on more carbs or less carbs? Do they need more cardio or less cardio? Do they need more sleep, or maybe they just need better quality sleep? Maybe they do better and need more magnesium, or they need more fiber, right? And it's kind of wild and crazy that people think that we can actually determine some of these things from our health technology, but we absolutely can, right? And so that's what I'm really, really passionate about, is helping you guys see some of this data and start to kind of get firsthand knowledge into how to take control of your health and hormones back into your own hands. So fast forward, 11 years now, right? Now this field has absolutely exploded from even where I first started into this field in 2013. And now everybody is walking around with some sort of health device that's kind of giving them real-time feedback on their own metabolic health. And these devices hold so much powerful data that we aren't even realizing its full potential, to really be able to clue us into different dysfunctions, different patterns, honestly, decades before it becomes actual overt disease, right? And that's I know making a bold statement, but it's absolutely true because I'm talking about how powerful and how life-changing this is if we know how to listen. How many of us are just kind of running around letting some of these devices collect really valuable data trends for us behind the scenes? We have no idea what we're looking at. We maybe use it sometimes to look at things like, oh, I feel like I slept like garbage, or how did I sleep, or what's my resting heart rate, or random things like that. But I just feel like there's so much data in there that if we knew how to look at it and knew how to look at our trends over time, you would be shocked to see how much we can actually move the needle in our own health way before. I'm talking like years and decades before anything is even going to show up on lab work, right? But are we supposed to just sit around on our hands feeling lousy day after day? And it's like, well, I guess I'll just wait until my lab work shows that there's something wrong. It's like, no. Like, this is something we need to be intercepting decades before, because by the time it shows up in blood work, like, now we got a problem on our hands. But our body has probably been trying to tell us this for quite some time now, right? We just didn't know how to listen, nor did we know how to necessarily interpret it and make meaningful change that was specific to us and specific to our body. So that's what I'm here to teach you how to do. So wearable health technology, I truly believe, has the power to revolutionize modern medicine and really the entire experience of modern medicine by allowing you as the patient to proactively collect and monitor and interpret these daily doses of insightful data directly from your body in real time, right? So how often do we feel like there's this big barrier between like, oh, I got to make an appointment with my doctor. I have to ask them to run certain labs, but what if they won't run certain labs because my insurance company won't cover certain labs? And so here I am, I'm just stuck with the basic routine blood work and like, yep, everything comes back ship shape. See you again next year. And you're like, what in the world? Like, this isn't the type of healthcare that I want to be a part of, because it's not very proactive and it's not very effective for most people. So this is what I mean by things like wearable health devices. They're booming in popularity because of this reason, because people are really kind of not desperate in a bad way, but they're very hungry, I guess is a great word. We're very hungry for more data that we can use to validate our lived experience, validate our symptoms, and figure out what the heck is going on so that we can be a more active participant in our own health management versus just sitting on our hands and waiting for our labs to be totally awful or someone else to control our health outcomes, right? That's not what we're about here, right? So no longer are these devices really just for the fitness enthusiasts either. We see rings and watches and armbands and tools of all kinds that really provide insider look at our metabolic health, our nervous system regulation, our hormone balance, our immune health, and even things like fertility. So however, you know, even though we have a lot of these, people are feeling lost and overwhelmed on what the heck am I looking at? How do I interpret or collect the data in a meaningful way to even impact my health goals, right? So that's where I really want to talk differently maybe about these health devices, because I don't think that people realize how much cool trends are probably already within the device itself. And especially if, like I said, we know how to go back and interpret that information, we might catch some really, really insightful trends that we can correct on now and help us feel so much better, right? And way more proactive about our health and managing disease progression. So first things first today, we're going to get into some data and like what exactly should you be looking for in a lot of this health technology, or what are some things and trends that can kind of turn you on to. But even before we dive into that, let me just do a really quick talk about the different options that are out there. Full disclaimer, I am in no way, shape, or form tied to any certain brands. I have zero financial incentive or paid endorsements for any brand out there. I know personally, I wear an Apple Watch. I know personally, I have an Oura Ring. I have owned Garmin devices. I've owned Polar devices. You name it, I've owned it. I've played with it. I've used it, right? So I have no affiliation whatsoever. It's just more so helping you find the right device for you. I think is always important, because if you're not consistent with it or it doesn't fit with your lifestyle, lifestyle, then you're not going to wear it. And if you don't wear it, then it ain't going to do anything, right? So when it comes to all of the different devices out there, I kind of separated them into 4 different categories, just as like a high level in case maybe you don't have any devices or you're curious about different devices to ask for Christmas or an upcoming birthday or something like that, if this is of area of interest to you. So number 1 category, or like first category, would be my fitness enthusiasts, right? Maybe you're an avid runner or an endurance athlete, or you're an avid cyclist athlete. You might prefer something that has more of a watch face design on it so that you can see your heart rate in real time. Something like a Garmin device. Garmin has a lot of different models and brands that I think are really helpful for this. So there's some devices, like you can envision like a Whoop, that's just an armband. It doesn't have a face on it. So when you're working out, you can't see your heart rate in real time on something like a Whoop band. For some people, they don't care. That doesn't matter to them. But for someone that's like a fitness enthusiast, like I said, you're a cyclist, you're a runner, you're biking, you're a hiker, or any sort of thing that you're like training for, a lot of individuals like to see their heart rate in real time. So you're going to want something with a watch face. So you might like something more like a Garmin. If you're someone that's what I would call like a biohacker, maybe you're like, give me all the data. I want to see my sleep score. I want to see my stress score and my strain. And I want to see my body composition trends over time. Like my biohacking enthusiast, the more data, the better. Something you can like export like the trends and kind of see them and see how your body's responding to different changes. You're probably going to be a fan of something like a Whoop or even an Oura Ring. They give you lots of different data around lots of different biometrics like that, and you can see trends over time, especially as you like start to experiment with your nutrition or experiment with your exercise or your rest and things like that. You can see in real time how your body responds positively or negatively to any of those lifestyle changes. If you're someone, I call it like a one-hit wonder. You're like, what is something that can do everything all in one? You're probably going to be someone that wants something like an Apple Watch, or like if you're an Android user, like a Samsung Galaxy, because it goes back and forth. Like I can put it into a workout mode. I can see my heart rate in real time, but I can also wear it like to work and it doesn't look super casual, or I can wear it, to a workout and I don't care if it gets sweaty, right? So it's kind of one of those things where it does a little bit of everything, not a lot of bit of any one thing, like really, really good, but it hits all of the foundations and all of the basics. So something like an Apple Watch or a Galaxy would be very helpful. Maybe you're someone that's more of my wellness warriors, especially my females, my wellness warrior girlies out there. Maybe you're someone that really wants to get to know and nurture your natural hormone cycles and rhythms, in which case you're going to want something that can track your basal body temperature. An Oura Ring will do this, or there's a device called Temp Drop, and you wear it on your arm at night, and it monitors things like sleep, fertile windows, basal body temperature, menstrual cycles, things like that, right? So I've worked with a lot of, like I said, different brands and things, but these ones tend to kind of like stand up to the test. But I also think, like I said, this is a perfect time for a disclaimer as I discuss like all these wearable devices. Do you absolutely have to have a wearable device? No, you absolutely don't. Are there plenty of people out there that use these wearable devices and what I would say like kind of like unhealthily abuse them and abuse the information they get from them? Heck, yes, there is, right? Just like anything in life, there's certain things that can kind of like spoil the whole lot. So I just want to at least take a moment and give kind of a head nod to the fact that there are plenty of people out there, and your argument is valid, that say like, I don't want to wear any devices. I get like too into the data. I get too analytical about it. I get too stressed about the data. Then I'm like, you know what? Then it's probably not for you right now. And that's okay. But I do think that it's really helpful to get over that hump and be able to take in a lot of these different metrics from our body if we know what the heck we're looking at. So are any of the devices perfect? No. Absolutely not. And which is why if we know how to use them properly, we understand you have to be willing to play the long game with any of these types of things. We are looking at trends over time. We are not looking at a one-time stamp. 1 night of sleep, 1 day of training, 1 day of my menstrual cycle. That's not how these devices work. If you're wanting to use it like that, you're going to be those people that get obsessive and compulsive about it, and it's going to cause more stress and harm than it will healthful change for you, right? So none of the devices are perfect, and that's okay, right? We're not here to be like laboratory setting devices or laboratories type data. We're just here to get trends on ourselves over time and see how our bodies are responding to different changes that we make in our lifestyle. For those people that do tend to become more obsessive and restrictive or addictive about it, it absolutely does happen, right? But usually that's because someone like that doesn't have an individual that's able to guide them to really be able to look at trends, right? Let's zoom out and let's look at a month over month, quarter over quarter, season over season, year over year. Like we're looking at bigger trends over time, not just getting hung up in like one daily reading. Or this is another thing I have to coach a lot of my clients through as well too. We're not making any knee-jerk reactions or any knee-jerk changes based off of like 1 day of daily data, right? 1 night of sleep and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to change everything about my nutrition. It's like, no. Or like 1 day of bad training, like I have to go and rewrite the whole script. No, right? So know that there are individuals that, like I said, have trouble not getting a little bit more obsessive or addictive to the data or more reactive to the data. And if that feels like you, have no fear. I don't think that means that these things have to be out of your life forever, but I think if you can have someone to help guide you, like myself, through the process of being able to like, what the heck am I looking at? What trends should I be looking for? And not getting hung up on the day-to-day nature of it, you can actually start to use it for the fullest of what it's intended to be used for and not feel more stressed out by it, right? So I just wanted to kind of put those disclaimers out there. All of the devices are a little bit different depending on what type of person you are, what you're looking for. And also if you're, like I said, somebody that hasn't used them because you tend to get a little bit more reactive or a little bit like too into the data, I think that's, like I said, because we haven't really known how to look for trends, right? So what type of trends, if we do have, like I said, some of these wearable data going, why do I like them so much, right? As a practitioner, especially more in the alternative and functional medicine space, why do I like this? For so many different reasons. But some of the main ones I like to really see are going to be trends in that individual's training or fitness adaptations. Very, very quickly, through any device, whether you use it and wear it like during a workout or not, you can see in real time, am I getting fitter? Am I getting more depleted? Am I seeing positive adaptations from the work that I'm putting in, or do I need to make some adjustments in my overall movement and training and fitness routine? So some of the biggest things I can kind of see based off of trends is, like I said, are we getting more fit or are we getting more burned out? That's like a very, very helpful question. A lot of individuals, as we start to look at the trends, we're able to have some honest conversations, right? And we see the trends and it's like, but I love doing CrossFit 5 days a week. And I'm like, but does your body love doing CrossFit 5 days a week? Because right now, according to this data, it doesn't. Like you look at month over month, year over year, you look at like the 3 years that you've been doing CrossFit and you've been wearing this device and you have data, you can see that your fitness has actually gradually declined. It's like, oh, yeah. So it's like, is it my intended result? And I'm not saying that's true for everybody. I'm just saying that's one trend that we can kind of identify and have some honest conversations about. Then if we like change that up, and maybe it doesn't mean getting rid of CrossFit altogether, but maybe if we intersperse that with some different activity, some more restorative activity, or we're able to kind of navigate that a little differently, they start to notice their fitness trends actually making positive adaptations. Their body's less stressed, less inflamed. They're getting more benefit from less work. We love that, right? So we can identify like, are they getting more fit? Are they getting more burnt out? We can also use devices to even just monitor someone's daily activity, especially if they have more of a desk-based job. It's like, are you hitting baseline activity or like baseline steps? Are you getting 8,000 steps a day? Or are you like sitting for 8 hours and trying to work out for 1 hour? Maybe there's some opportunity there. What about trends in your resting heart rate? What about trends in your VO2 score, right? All of these things can quickly identify exactly where you actually may see better results from slight changes in exercise type, exercise frequency, exercise intensity, right? So we may need to work on your balance a little bit, balance between what I call the 3 S's, strength, steps, and stretching. And this is something that I cover in depth more in my intuitive guide to interpreting your wearable technology, which I'll talk about in a second. So training and fitness adaptations, definitely a big trend that I like to look at. Second trend that I like to look at in my clients' wearable data and help them look at too is their sleep and their recovery, right? So if you have a device like an Oura Ring or a Whoop, even I think Apple Watch will do it to a degree as well too, but any of the devices that tend to track sleep, you can look at not only how much sleep you're getting, because quite frankly, as you'll learn in my guide, in my modules, I don't really care about how much you're sleeping, but I do care about the quality of sleep that you're getting, the restorative sleep. Maybe you're getting enough sleep on paper. You're like, gosh, I just don't realize like why I wake up so fatigued and so sore all the time. I feel like I get 7 to 8 hours of sleep, but then looking a little bit deeper, maybe how much restorative sleep you're getting, which ideally is at least 30% of your sleep should be in that deep restorative sleep. Maybe you're only getting 10, 15% of that 8 hours of sleep in deep restorative. So you wake up feeling as if you got no sleep at all, because that deep restorative is really what we're going after. So you might still wake up feeling exhausted and function as if your body is sleep deprived, even if you feel like you're sleeping 8 hours. Maybe you're frequently waking during the night. This tells us we need to support things like blood sugar, metabolic health, your liver. Maybe you're having trouble falling asleep. This tells us where we need to support cortisol and circadian rhythm, right? So looking at these trends, I'm telling you guys, like you can see your hormones right at your fingertips if you start to look and notice for trends of things. You're like, yeah, it does always, my watch does always tell me it takes me about 35 minutes to fall asleep. I'm like, very interesting, right? That's a trend. And it's like, I just thought that was normal. I'm like, now I'm here to tell you that like you can kind of see some of those things and take some action on them. The third trend that we really love to dive into here too is going to be what I call an honest evaluation of stress, right? So we love to hate on the term stress management. I do too, because I think a lot of times talking about stress is incredibly unhelpful for people. It feels very disempowering because they feel like they can't change it. But I'm talking about really using our wearable devices to no longer just have a subjective reading of stress. I'm talking about let's have an objective conversation. That's why I mean like an honest conversation, to be able to see like how stressed are you. No one in the history of ever answers that question accurately. We can see though some very like noticeable trends if we know what we're looking for. So if we look at a metric called heart rate variability, one of my favorite honest measurements to really see how much stress does your body feel under. I'm not talking about how much stress are you perceiving from a mental standpoint. I'm talking about how much stress does your body feel under. So we can look at trends like heart rate variability or HRV. If your HRV is consistently below 50, we probably have some work to do, right? We might be in a state of adrenal overdrive, high cortisol. We might be on the verge of adrenal fatigue or burnout. Are you someone that's like frequently sick? Because we can actually see these trends show up 3 to 5 days before symptoms even pop up, right? Where we can get some things on board to minimize the severity of that illness and to support your body a little bit better, right? But it's like if we don't understand some of how to like see some of these impacts of stress on our body, we might just roll through life not even realizing that there's a lot of unperceived stressors on our body, and then we're out there trying to diet and exercise and going nowhere because we aren't realizing that there's this huge parking brake of stress on the body. And then the fourth category that I really love to see from these wearable devices is around our hormone health, specifically not just the hormones I've already been talking about, but specifically around women's menstrual cycles and our fluctuations in our hormones as females. This is a biggie. Women, I am talking to you right now. If you are not tracking your menstrual cycles, it is time. like yesterday. It is time, right? There's so much valuable data here for sure. If you are a female that's tracking your menstrual cycles on like a good old fashioned calendar system or a calendar app, amazing, perfect, better than nothing. But also know that we can do better if you want even a deeper look at your health and your hormones, is if you have a system like an Oura Ring, a Temp Drop are really kind of the big ones that track your cycles using your basal body temperature. Now we're talking, right? Now you're going to get a firsthand look at your active hormone levels and trends in imbalances that may even validate a lot of the symptoms that you're experiencing and get you the interventions that we need to course correct. What I mean by that, if you're tracking your basal body temperatures, you're going to be able to see exactly when you ovulated. When you ovulate, your basal body temperatures will rise and fall. Once they fall, that's when you start your bleed. There's so much we can see here. It's like, are we ovulating, but we're not really getting a big temperature rise? Low progesterone. Are we ovulating, but we're getting a very short luteal window? That could also be low progesterone, right? Or it could be like an estrogen dominance symptom, right? A long follicular phase and then a really short luteal phase. And when you guys are seeing this as trends in your Oura Ring and you see, you're like, oh yeah, I'm spotting around my mid-cycle, right? It's like, oh yeah, we're getting some data here. Now all of a sudden we can start to actually make some change. And it's not, I'm not saying that I don't do lab testing for progesterone and estrogen. Absolutely we do. But if you see that right then and there, sometimes I can see on someone's data, I'm like, yeah, we have low progesterone. I'm like, I could measure it if you want to, but it also validates all of the symptoms you're experiencing because you're getting spotting, you're getting night sweats, you're getting anxiety, you're getting insomnia, you're getting shortened luteal phases, you're getting crazy heavy periods. Like, do I need more data than that, right? It's like, nope, I don't need more data. We need to treat the root cause of the low progesterone situation. So there's just so much that we can get from even just simple wearable devices. I don't care which wearable device you have, which one you like. It's just more so around aligning it to what your biggest interest levels are, and then also learning how to interpret the language of your body, because your body doesn't speak in words. Our body is going to speak very differently. It speaks in symptoms, right? So we have to pick up those symptoms. Sometimes we use things like heart rate or heart rate variability or basal body temperature, resting heart rate, sleep scores. Like, that's the language of your body. It's not going to just speak to you in pure English. You're going to have to, like I said, understand how to interpret some of those things that it's trying to kind of chirp in your ear so that you can be more proactive about it and also get the care that you need and deserve, and not just wait on your hands until somebody says that your labs are out of balance, right? That's not how I practice. That's not how I would encourage you to look at your health. I think that's going to be a recipe for disaster, because by the time that your labs are out of range, now we have some work to do, right? Versus being more proactive about hearing some of the symptoms coming from your body right away. So if this was of interest to you and you like, ooh, yeah, this definitely gets my wheels turning, you are going to love my intuitive interpretation guide for all things wearable health technology. It is a mini course, an ebook, a bonus module. You can download that right away. It is ready for you. Because you got it all the way to the end of my beautiful podcast here, I'm going to give you a special 50% off promo code. It is good to the end of October. All caps launch, ALUNCH 24. So launch 24 in all caps will get you a 50% off discount code. Go download the mini course, get your hands on the ebooks, get your hands on the bonus module, and you will learn how to really take a look at some of the data that you're probably already getting from your body and probably have been getting from your body for the last however many years that you've been wearing your wearable devices, and actually start to put it into action. So you'll get way more detail than this in the mini course, and I'm excited for you guys to, like I said, dig in and give me your feedback. So enjoy the rest of your day, and I hope to see you, like I said, in